Hey guys, a little while ago somebody commented on one of my chronograph videos and requested a full review of the Ruger SP101 Revolver. So long overdue, but here it is. So this is the Ruger SP101 357 Magnum Revolver, and of course it shoots 38 special as well. It's a 5-shot 357. It's a little more compact than your average 357, but that being said, it's quite a bit sturdier, probably heavier than most of the other compact or concealed carry geared 357s on the market. I think this cost me about $650. So I guess I'll go through some of the specifications and then I'll talk about, what I think about it. So the SP101 is about 7¼ inches long and I believe 4 inches tall. Its widest point is at the cylinder, of course, and that's about 1 3/8, I believe. The barrel length is 2 3/8. It has a fixed notch rear sight, which of course is part of the frame of the pistol, and a stepped front ramp. I'm not sure if you guys can see the steps on that. I presume that's to catch lighting and prevent it from reflecting too much when you're trying to aim down sights. It was a little hard to see against dark backgrounds for me, so I took a note out of the Book of Hickok here and I put a little bit of white primer on it, and that helps tremendously. Hopefully you can see the difference that makes against a black background. It's way easier to see, certainly in the day and even a little bit at night. The front sight is pinned with a roller pin, and that is removable. I've seen them online. You can get fiber optic sights and such for it. Of course, the rear is non-adjustable at all unless you took a file to it, and I would not recommend that. Mine personally shoots quite accurately, as accurate as I can manage, out to about 50 yards. I was able to get all 5 on an 8-inch circle from the bench. This revolver weighs about 26 ounces, I believe, unloaded, depending on the grips, of course, and the weight of your ammunition, but it's quite a bit heavier than your average concealed carry pistol. So as I mentioned, this is only a 5-shot revolver, which makes the cylinder a bit narrower, makes the gun a little bit lighter. The cylinder spins counterclockwise, which is similar to the way Smith & Wesson does it. I did notice when comparing to a Colt King Cobra, the cylinder gap, which I don't think you can really pick up on camera here, but if you can see it, the gap there was substantially larger than with the Colt King Cobra. And many people tend to say that about Colt, that the fit and finish is unmatched. In my experience so far, that's for the most part been true. That was an exceptionally nice revolver, but about 3 times the price. So personally, I love the way that this one looks. The dark finish with dual tone. I'm a sucker for dual tone, as anybody that knows me knows. The black and silver go together really quite beautifully, in my opinion. And then with the wood grip inserts, the cylinder release on this revolver, and I think this is typical of Ruger, is a push-in style. I happen to really like that. Whereas compared to a Colt, it would probably be a pull back, or a Smith & Wesson would likely be a push in, or push forward rather. I prefer that, but the push in is not bad. It's easy enough to do with one hand if need be. The trigger is it's quite smooth. So in terms of ergonomics, I love this trigger. It is very comfortable. It's got nice curvature to it. It was machined very well. It's polished very well. It's extremely smooth to the touch, and I think just immensely comfortable. As far as the trigger pull itself, it's quite heavy. It should be around a 10 to a 12 pound pull with about a 1/2 inch of travel in double action, and it's quite smooth. In single action, it's only about a 4 or 5 pound pull with about 1 millimeter of travel. So that is, of course, incredibly smooth. It's very clean, very crisp. Barely have to touch it. That being said, I did take this apart and install the MCARBO aftermarket trigger spring down here in the frame of the revolver. And So I don't really recall what it was like to shoot without that. I hadn't put many rounds through it beforehand. I happen to really like MCARBO upgrades, so for me, that's what I did. This trigger spring is non-adjustable, if I recall correctly. So unfortunately, there isn't a whole lot of control you have over the weight of it unless you replace the parts. I do remember that the stock spring was quite strong as well. And even though it may not be adjustable, it's at the very least reliable. I've never experienced any light strikes. The hammer of this revolver is not smooth. It's got a knurled pattern on the back of it, which makes it really nice for pulling back for single action fire. And honestly, that's my preferred way to fire this pistol. It's just so crisp and clean and quick. One thing I do have to say about the trigger that I don't like, and maybe this is my fault, during the trigger spring job, it's very smooth to pull back, but horribly gritty on reset. So I don't know if you can tell, but very smooth to pull and kind of a bit grindy on the way back. I can feel it. Feels like it's actually grating against something, and maybe I just need to oil it a little bit, or maybe I messed something up while I was in there. But the grip, I think, is really beautiful. I think that the wood pattern grip goes along really well with the dark finish of the revolver and the silver highlights. And overall, I think it's a great look. It's a nice, very comfortable rubber grip. But the one bad thing I have to say about this is that it's a little bit wobbly. And you might not be able to tell on the video, but this is basically just a rubber boot that fits over the frame of the pistol. And there's one pin, there's an aluminum pin that sits right below this screw that essentially holds the whole thing in place. So the grip kind of pivots around that pin a little bit. Now it's not bad. It is noticeable. If I hold this in my hand, I can kind of wobble the whole revolver up and down just because of how soft that grip is. And it's not detrimental. I can still fire it accurately. I still like the way it feels. It's just maybe not quite as sturdy as I'd like. Overall, it's really comfortable, and I like it. I wouldn't change it if I had the option, but I did want to mention that. Now you can see there's this little thumb imprint here, which makes it a little more comfortable to hold. But for me, I do wish that there wasn't quite a ridge here on the back side of it, because that kind of presses into the side of my thumb. And again, it's a really soft rubber, so it doesn't make a difference. So as far as shooting this pistol goes, 357 is a bit snappy but controllable, and the weight of the frame, the fact that it's so overbuilt and sturdy, makes quite a difference there. Compared to the slightly smaller Colt King Cobra, there's a noticeable difference in the recoil control. And then when comparing this to something smaller like a Ruger LCR in 38, just firing 38s through this, I mean, you barely feel a thing. It's incredibly light. Now that being said, I haven't put extremely powerful rounds through this pistol. The most powerful I've used would probably be either Hornady's Lever Revolution rounds, which I typically carry for better terminal performance at range, or I think it was Hornady's Critical Defender, which actually chronoed a little bit more powerful than the Lever Revolution rounds out of such a short barrel. It's not bad overall, and again, the weight does contribute to that, helps out a bit. But it's still quite concealable. I used to carry it inner band with this, I believe this is an 1836 holster, nice leather to it. But I don't use that so much anymore because of the way the handle sticks out. It's you can tell by the angle your belt would be at. The handle's almost sticking straight up, which for me and maybe some smaller framed guys, that makes a big difference on the print of the firearm at your hip. So I have this laying around, but I gave up on trying to conceal it. Usually when I'm carrying this revolver, I do it with the this Phobos holster that I got. I think I got this on the Ruger website. This holster is probably my favorite holster out of all of the ones that I own for all of the guns that I own. It's very comfortable. This thing just hugs my hip. And again, this is an outer band holster, so not really great for concealment unless you're wearing a big coat you know, a loose shirt or something. But this holster has a nice snap to it. There's no retention per se on it. There's nothing to prevent anybody from taking this out of the holster. So that is a downside, and I know that's a deal breaker for a lot of people, but personally, I don't mind so much. It has an adjustable screw here to change the amount of tension or how tight it's held in that holster. And the one problem that I have had with this is that this tends to loosen up over time, so maybe I'd recommend putting some thread locker or something on that. But overall, this is very quick to use. It's very comfortable to wear, and this is probably my favorite, so that's the way I carry it. Some of the pros of this revolver would be its tank-like durability. You know, a lot of people tend to describe Ruger revolvers in that way, that they're overbuilt, they're extremely solid. You know, you don't have to worry about damaging it with plus P rounds or you know, maybe if you get a little rough handling. It's got a really comfortable grip compared to some of the others I've held. It has a replaceable front sight, which, you know, of course I haven't replaced mine yet, but I probably soon will. And, you know, overall it's just, it's pleasant to shoot. It's got a nice smooth trigger. Again, a little grindy on that reset, but maybe I'll be able to lube that up a little bit and smooth it out. Let's see if I can do this one-handed, the nickel test here. It's pretty smooth. I mean, as you can tell, I can do this over and over and over again without any issues. But I do wish that the reset was a little smoother. So there's that. Some of the cons for this revolver would probably be, I would say definitely its weight. 26 ounces is way heavier than some of the polymer framed options that we have today. Its length overall is pretty large. I mean, 7 inches length is a bit excessive in my opinion. I typically carry a subcompact that's, I think, just shy of 6 inches. It's got a very gritty trigger reset, which again, you know, maybe I can fix that. Maybe I can smooth it out a little bit. The stock front sight is hard to see, and again, you can fix that up with just a little bit of paint or something if you have that on hand, and it does make a considerable difference. Makes it a lot easier to see. And the fact that it only holds 5 rounds, I think, would be the last real con I have for this pistol. And again, that's kind of an issue based on its use as a concealed carry pistol. If capacity was your biggest concern, obviously you have much more practical options today with you know, your double stacks and things like that. So so there it is, the Ruger SP101. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know your thoughts if you have any experience with this pistol, and if you'd like to see any more reviews of some of the other firearms I've chronographed, let me know. Thanks for watching.